Thank you. Hello everybody, my name is Craig Bennett and I'm the founder and owner of TechFuse Help, and today I am making a video to show you how to install your wooden case from Toast onto your Surface Book. Now this is going to be on a high level as far as how to install it. I'm assuming that you already have some knowledge on installing screen protectors and things of this nature before, but let's jump on into this. So to start off, you're going to need a few things on site other than what's provided from Toast. This is just my personal opinion. Obviously you can use what Toast provides you, but a little bit extra doesn't help. It doesn't hurt anyone. So as far as things you will need, or at least I feel that you would need on the side, is a bottle of rubbing alcohol, a lint-free cloth, and also some gloves or something that you can wear while you're handling the computer itself. So basically with the rubbing alcohol, it's just to make it where you can clean off your oils from the surface, and that way you can actually stick to stuff and you don't have to have adhesive problems. The lint-free cloth is for the same thing in case you got a problem with that, and the gloves is obviously for the oils in your skin, and also so you don't put any dirt on it. But you can get away without using lint-free cloth and without using gloves. I didn't use any, but it's very preferable that you at least have some gloves. But as far as this goes, assuming that you have all that, or you're okay moving on, your next thing is you need to inspect your panels. Each wooden panel needs to be inspected independently, because if there is a problem, now is the time to find it. If there is a mess up in a cut, or if there is a problem in the wood itself, now is the time to find it, because you can get the stuff replaced instead of having to put it on, find, oh, there's an actual problem, then move on. So find the problems now and get it fixed now, and then move on. And if you haven't found any problems, which I'm assuming since you're still watching this, then let's move on. So first things first is we're going to prepare the top portion of the Surface Book. What we need to do is simply use the pads that they gave to us. So open up one of the pads and then wipe down the top part after you get the Surface Book in a stable location. Once you do that and make sure everything is good and clear off of it, all the dirt's off of it, and you have a good wipe down on it so the oils are not there, what you need to do is take the top plates, if you have it engraved, then the one that's engraved. If not, then look at the camera holes so you know which is what. And then what you need to do is simply go and peel one side, preferably where the camera is, nearer the camera the better, because what you're trying to do is line up the camera holes over everything else, because if that's off, if that's wrong, then you just took away a function, or you have to take it off, and since these are one-time use cases, you're going to have problems. So it's really important to get right now where the camera hole is good. So now that that's lined up, start peeling off, and you might notice these dots. Don't worry about the dots that are sticking to the plate itself. They are meant to be there, so if you do decide to take off the wood cover for any reason, it makes it a lot easier on you in the future. And if you do have to adjust things, try to adjust it minutely as possible. Otherwise, you may run into some problems with the adhesive. and make sure everything is lined up if possible. You may experience some tearing when you're removing the back, which is somewhat normal on these type of deals, even with complex. I've seen complex, not screen protectors, but protectors that go all the way around phones. I've seen that happen all the time there. So that is kind of normal for that. But after you place it where you want, try not to press down on it too hard. And then make sure everything is lined up. Look at the camera hole, make sure that's lined up. Look at the four corners, make sure that's lined up. And if you have the engraving, then make sure that's lined up to where you need it. And then start pressing down from the corners in. And that way you secure stuff. And given that this is the only thing that you got, then what I'll advise you from here is put some weights on the corners and one in the middle, like for fishing lure, and then just let that sit for 2 hours or so, and that helps the bond. It's something you don't have to do, but as someone who's worked in manufacturers with composites and stuff like that, that's the smarter route to go, and it helps the bonding. But past that, what you need to do is, if in case you did buy the whole package like I did, you need to next prepare the bottom, and the same thing applies. Now before you peel, this is the mistake I found, the corners are different. You won't notice it unless if you look directly at the corners, and there's no reason for you to until someone either A, points it out, or B, you already screwed it up, which I already screwed it up, and there's no real fixing that. So what you need to do is look at the corners and see what goes where. There's two corners that are sharp, and there's two corners that are dull, that are curved. You need to match that up. It's very, very important. I think the sharp ones go towards the back, and I messed that up, unfortunately. After unpeeling that and removing that, simply make sure you line stuff up like before. You press it on the corners, and then you go inwards, and you can start smoothing out the bottom in case there's any air bubbles and stuff. And in case if anyone's really wondering about the weights and stuff, what is the main purpose of them? It's mostly because the air bubbles, it helps push the air bubbles, plus it helps a constant contact. So when the adhesive hardens up a little bit, it helps that portion of it. It helps the bond. Next, we're going to do the keyboard cover, and this one's very easy to do. And all you need to do is basically open up your Surface to the right position, grab the keyboard cover as we did before, wipe off the proper areas, and then simply place and stick. It's very, very easy on this one. Make sure all you're trying to do is make sure your mouse pad is in the right position. There's no real right area where you need to start peeling the stuff. I'm going to say from one of the corners to the opposite corner than where you're going to be, so it makes it a little bit easier on you. But the big thing is there's enough space all around for the keys, but the mouse is something that it's very critical that you line up, because there's not much tolerance when it comes to the mouse area, but the keys, there's a lot of space, there's a lot of wiggle room when it comes to the keys. But line it up with the mouse when possible, and then place it down. From there, simply go and like we did before, you smooth out the thing, make sure it's all sticking there like you want. Next, let's do the screen area. This is a very hard one to do. You will have camera holes in the IR hole, And this is very critical, especially if you use the Hello Windows feature like I do. You need to make sure that thing is lined up properly. So what you need to do is notice where the cameras are, because you're basically doing a black on black type of thing. So it's very, very difficult to see, unlike the other end of the screen. So what you're doing is you're lining that up. Once you have a little bit peeled, make sure you start from where the camera's area is, as seen within the video. And that way you basically, that's where you can't mess up. You can mess up on many of the areas, on a lot of this case. You can mess up on a lot of areas, but things like the cameras and the ports and the mouse, you cannot mess up. It's very critical for you to actually get that portion right. So make sure you have it lined up, sticked, and it's very difficult. But once you have that line up and good, stick it on there and move on. Following this, I'm going to just do one more of these. But basically what you need to do for this one is you're going to find a bunch of strips in a bag. And unfortunately, they're not marked. And this is a big reason why I'm making this video. But it's going to be easier if you do one of two things. One, if you disconnect the tablet portion of the computer from the keyboard portion so you can hold it easier. That's just something personal I found. The other is if you simply go and you line the holes up with buttons, ports, and things of this nature. You're going to have to use some type of process of elimination, unfortunately. Even though it is a very expensive thing, it is what it is for now. But what you need to do is, let's look for the stick that will go towards the top, and what you need to do is basically line the buttons up right. Keep in mind you will have some wood buttons to put over it, and basically you line it up and make sure the edges are pushed down. You might need to push down on the edges quite a bit. I found that with all the curves. And then from there you just need to place the buttons. The buttons are very, very difficult, and with this I would say maybe adding tweezers to the list. I really wish I had some when I was doing it, but you need to pay attention where your hands are when you're dealing with the buttons. And if I had a problem where one button, the paper back, the protective for the adhesive came off with the button, so I was able to peel that off and go. And the other button, I tried to do the same thing, and it came off normally, but I didn't realize it because you know how small it is for a few seconds, so I was trying to peel the adhesive. So watch out for that. That can actually potentially be a problem, especially with how small the buttons are. And I imagine if you're doing keys on this, which I'll be looking into, you might have the same problem. So something to keep in mind, use tweezers on this portion. So following this, we're going to go with the side area where the headset's plugged in. Notice that one of the strips has a curve into it, and this is what we're looking for. And as you see here, where I'm trying to line it up for the camera, you can see the curve. It's a pretty simple wipe down, stick, and move on type of deal. It's very, very simple. Try to get as close to the hole as possible without running into actual problems, but it's a fair, that's one of the more simple ones to do. And with the other side, you have something similar, and what you need to do is just basically line that up. It's just a solid strip. Line it up and place it on there. Now, as far as the side of the computer itself, these are pretty easy to figure out what goes where, because the ports, obviously you got ports cut out on one side and the other one is pretty flat. I think that's because of the charging area. But as far as that goes, it's simply unpeel and stick. Just make sure you wipe off the area. And then with the front, it's the same thing. It's very easy. Just make sure you put it in there where you can actually get to, and it's not going to mess with you opening the case at all. And when you're putting on these side things, keep in mind with the screen portion specifically, is that you're not going into the fan areas. That the fan has to breathe, but you shouldn't have a problem other than that. Now, as far as the rest of them, they are going to be the hinges. And basically you have one of the bigger ones for, it's the outside, basically close the surface and place the stuff where the hinges should be, and basically place it there. And also on top of that, there's two strips for the very bottom. Make sure you don't confuse that. The ones on the very bottom obviously don't bend, so that one might be the easiest one to put on of them all. But make sure you don't confuse them, because the ones that go on the hinges, they are meant to bend, and they're noticeable when you're looking at the ends of them. But anyways, this has been Craig Bennett, founder of Tech Fuse Nope, and hopefully this video has helped you out in installing your cover on your Surface Book. And if you do have any questions on this, then let me know. I'll try to help you as much as possible. But if you have done this yourself and you want to add more information in here, then feel free to do so. And let me know what you think about the case itself. But anyways, if you like this, please leave a like, subscribe, share, and feel free to check out my other videos and tell me what you want on the next video. Have a great day.